So we're talking about hive note taking for beekeeping. What I like to have on my sheet here is my hive location ID, perhaps my queen origin, but my queen ID, because you can't just keep track of the hive because that queen can move around, whether she swarmed or whether you want to move her, or there's lots of reasons, but you want to kind of keep track of the hive ID. So like where it is, like I call this RP for red pine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I might switch colonies around for one, like this is kind of getting off track, but give you always little bits of information. Say if this hive is weak and this hive is strong, I can switch this around, and for one day, the weak hive is gonna get the more bees coming home because those bees go back. So you kind of equalize hives that way. So that's why, I want to keep track of that queen, because maybe that hive is weak because that queen is just weak. So even after a boost, she might not do better. Sometimes she just needs a boost. So I want to keep track of the queen ID and the hive location ID, because they can switch around. And I'm keeping track of my queen origin because I'm breeding, or you might want to keep track of your queen origin because like, well, you got a queen from me, or you got a queen from, another bee supplier, and you want to see like, well, you'll see that my queens are better, of course, but, but, keeping track of those things so you could...
If they grow, they go out with half of the colony or something like that?
Yeah, that's during when they swarm. Yeah.
And
We'll talk about swarming. Yeah, that's so. What else I like to have on here sometimes is maybe the original state. So, but also like your date, your weather, and sometimes I'll do like a hive diagram, like for this one I'll draw like. Does someone? Can I borrow a pencil? So I'll do a little drawing. So where like this is, I'll do a little line like that. So that's my queen excluder. And this will be like, I could even like put a B there and a B for like my brood. And then a medium is my medium box. And then like, so after post inspection, I can do post inspection diagram. And now I got like my brood and a medium and a second medium. So, and what's nice about this kind of thing is if you're, you can go back next year and look at all your notes and say, okay, well, it was around this time last year when I needed to add more supers. So you can go ahead and buy those supers and not have to rush to the store. My notes for me, for the first couple of years, were such a good, valuable teacher. Just remembering what all the things I learned was. So yeah, in your, there's inspection notes. So before that, we can go to like the breeder profile. You can be keeping track of how she is as a queen. If you want to like do splits from her next year, or just keep track of how good queens are versus another one, different supplier or not. You can kind of do a temperament, like, a 1 out of 5 or something. 5 being the best, or whatever you want to come up with. But the idea is just to come up with some sort of scale. Comb stability is like, are they running around the comb a lot? Or are they just kind of like calm and chill? You want bees that are more just calm and chill. If they're running around a lot, it's usually because they're a little more agitated. They tend to be more defensive, ones that are like that. Swarming, are they bees, like, is every time you go in there, there's swarm cells, regardless of what kind of manipulations you've done. Some, they could be crowded and they're just not, as horny to swarm. And then brood pattern, how well is the brood pattern? Is the brood pattern constantly spotty? Sometimes it's just spotty at the beginning of the year, because maybe the feed placement where they're putting the pollen, sometimes the timing is off where she's laid. She's just finding holes and plugging them in. But it's nice that she's eventually going to find a nice solid, consistent pattern. But otherwise, for your inspection notes, I often just come up with kind of a shorthand, and I'll just write QELB. So queen, eggs, larva, brood. So if I write that, it's like I saw the queen, I saw eggs, I saw larva, I saw brood. If I'm missing any one of those, I might just write ELB. I saw eggs, larva, and brood. Everything's kind of normal on timing. Cool. I could maybe just see queen and brood. So that might tell me something else. Like, oh, well, is that my original queen? Maybe not, because there's a break in the brood there. So something happened in that time. And by keeping the notes, you might be able to kind of look back at what happened last week. So, well, what happened? You know, maybe you forgot the queen in a cage for a couple of days. And you had to go back and let her out. Who knows? But just keeping track of these things. Certain times a year, especially at the beginning in spring, I like to keep track of the number of frames that have the eggs, larva, and brood on it. Making a note of is there enough honey storage? Is there pollen? Especially if I know we're going to go into a week of bad weather. What else? Keeping any notes, but also just watching for any pests, diseases. You might be doing a mite count, which I'll show you later today. Just overall strength and temperament. The state of any of the frames. Do you have any old equipment that needs replacing? Be like, okay, well, this frame's broken. I got to remember next time to bring a new frame. And I like to just make a note of any actions that I took. Did I do a split? Did I take, a frame of brood to give to another colony? So like I come back, say, well, why is this colony doing so well and this one's doing so poorly? Well, did I do something to influence that? So you're constantly kind of judging your bees to see like how well are they doing their health. Frame movements. Did I do any harvest? Did I do any treatments? Any feeding, any yard work that needs to be done. And then I usually keep a little, another side note as action plan for the next visit. So the better you get at beekeeping, the less notes you're gonna need. So nowadays, I'm just like queen, eggs, larva, brood, next one. And now the only notes I'm really taking is like, okay, well, what are my mite levels? Because that's something I'm really watching, because I'm also comparing all my bees, which one has the highest mite levels versus the lowest, and I'm breeding from the ones with the lowest levels. So, but hive notes, again, really good to have.
Will you send this as a template?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks. So let's, we're gonna light some smokers. Not that we've had enough smoke already. But we can take some turns at lighting smokers. I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but I think so. Yeah. And then they just make sure if you didn't get a chance today, that next time you get a priority on it.